The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And tonight, I got two special guests. I got Champagne, Joe Moakley, and Michael Morse from Atlantic Pro Wrestling. Guys, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks for having
us. No problem. We're going to talk all about Atlantic Pro, but first, I've had you scheduled for a while. I just want to go through a real quick get-to-know-you interview. Okay, you guys can both answer these questions, too. The first one, Joe, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Salisbury, Massachusetts, primarily. Was there pretty much my entire life.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Lawrence, Mass, and moved to Salem, New Hampshire right around middle school. So I'm in New Hampshire since mid-'80s.
Nice, okay. When did you first see pro wrestling?
The first time I saw pro wrestling, the first time I saw a live pro wrestling event, I went with my older brother, and it was the old Boston Garden.
Yeah.
And it was just a house show, but it was Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter in a Desert Storm match. That's how far back that was. And the guys were just so big. I mean, the Warlord walked by me, and his legs were as big as my chest at that age. He was just a huge guy. Texas Tornado was there working. Actually, I think he worked the Warlord. This is after he'd split from the Powers of Pain, and he was just the Warlord. There was a couple other guys. The Nasty Boys worked the Road Warriors. I mean, it was Legion of Doom, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a great show. One of my first independent wrestling shows that I saw was actually down at Salisbury Beach, and it was for Pop Warner football. Gil Bonk, one of the gentlemen that's worked with us in Atlantic Pro Wrestling as well, helped put that on with Knuckles Nelson down there. They had Tony Atlas. Brian Day was one of the headliners on that card for that night.
The Star Wars promotion?
Yeah, Wrestling Star Wars, yep.
Nice. How about you? Same question. When did you first see it?
My first time watching professional wrestling actually was the MSG, Hulk Hogan beating the Iron Sheik on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. It was probably Wrestling Superstars or something like that back in the day. The first time I ever saw them live was actually at Methuen High School. They did a charity show. I got to see the Hart Foundation wrestle. I think it was I forget who they wrestled, but Jake the Snake Roberts was there, Bad News Brown. First independent show, believe it or not, it was chaotic.
Yeah.
Because I'm good friends with one of the guys who grew up through that company. So. Nice.
Yeah, they've been putting on shows for a long time, too. All right, so you can go first on this one, Mike. Were your friends into wrestling when you liked it?
Yeah, my friends, my siblings. Yeah. We had a whole thing, it was one of those kind of like you have the water cooler talk at work. Yeah. That's kind of what it was. It was like lunchtime talk. We'd talk about the matches we saw on Saturday, what we're looking forward to, what we think's going to happen, trying to plan out, because at that time, we didn't know it was fake. Or planned out, I should say, or predetermined, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So that was, so I had a good group of friends and we got to chat about it. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, same. My friends are all crazy about it, growing up and that sort of thing. And, like I said, I have an older brother, so he used to put me in all kinds of wrestling moves as a kid, like big brothers do. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I've been in figure 4 leg locks and Boston crabs growing up. Yeah. But we used to, we'd take all the mattresses in the house, and we bring them down to the living room when your parents aren't home, and stack them up, and you're jumping off the top of the couch, and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, I couldn't tell you how many times I did the Superfly splash off the top of my couch to some friend on my living room floor.
You guys were lucky. Nobody in my family liked wrestling but me. I swear to God. All right, when did you, this was obviously for Joe, because you've never wrestled, right, Mike?
No.
Okay.
No.
When did you know you wanted to be a pro wrestler? Were you real little? I mean...
It was funny. I always loved wrestling growing up as a kid, but I never really envisioned moving on to that stage. Right. And it kind of happened by accident. I was at a New Year's Eve party, and I had a lot of DJ equipment at that point in time, so I brought it to the party because it was my brother was living at this house with a couple of other people, and I was like, oh, I'll just bring my equipment down, and that way we'll have music for the party for that. And Knuckles Nelson happened to be attending that party.
Wow.
And he's like, oh, this is great equipment. Who owns all this stuff? I was like, oh, it's all my stuff. He's like, hey, would you like to come down and do the music for wrestling Star Wars? And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great.
Wow.
And that's how he and I met. And from there, he had opened up his school, the Combat Zone, down in Salisbury Beach. And I started training with him back in 1999.
Oh wow.
I kept running the music for him every show that he ran,
Right.
which was kind of to my own detriment because I was really good at something like that, which I'm good at stuff like that. So when it happens that you're good with something, people don't want to take you away from that thing that you do well.
Right.
So even though I was pretty good in the ring, he didn't want to move me away from the audio because then he'd have to find somebody else there. He kept trying to find somebody else, and it just never really worked out. And they'd start the show off, and then halfway through the show, I'd hear him yelling, "Joe, Joe!" And I'm like, all right. And I'd go back out to the audio, and this is old school when it was just two little disc mans and a mixing board. So it's actual CDs that you're flipping back and forth. It wasn't like Spotify now where you're get everything online. It's
pretty
great.
easy now.
Oh yeah, now anybody could do it. I mean, he does it for me now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I got a story for you later.
All right. What's funny is though, Knuckles always working the gimmick though. You know what I mean? Like he sees you at a party and he's like, bam, I can get, I could use him.
Oh yeah.
All right. So the next question was, who trained you? Knuckles Nelson. Do you have anybody else help out? Just so I don't miss anybody.
There was, Knuckles. I love Knuckles Nelson.
Yeah.
There would be no Champagne Joe Moakley if there was no Knuckles Nelson, and he took me under his wing back in 1999. I was only a 21-year-old kid at that point in time, and I was training with him, 3 times a week. I didn't even see my first match until 2 years later. And that's kind of how it was back then. You didn't go through 2 months of training and all of a sudden you get a match in the ring. No. Guys back then, you trained for a couple of years and then you finally got a taste of it. And it was good. And the whole wrestling Star Wars thing was great. I took some time off and I studied acting for a little while.
Yeah.
And then me and Big Woody said, we never got to have that match we wanted to have.
Right.
And this company happened kind of by accident. We were only going to run 2 shows just so that we could have that match that we wanted to have 10 years ago. Well, almost 20 years ago now, but at that point it was 10 years ago. And after we ran that second show, there was a little 5-year-old kid that came up to Woody after the show, and he's like, so when are you guys going to wrestle again? And Woody's like, oh, this is kind of it. And his face just dropped. And we're like, you know what? We probably should keep this going for a little while longer.
Nice.
And now here we are 8 years later, and it's still running strong. So
has that little kid come to more shows?
He did, but that kid's probably 15 now and probably likes girls and other things. And
oh, no doubt. Yeah, he's chasing the skirts. I remember I was so into wrestling as a little kid, but once I hit that age chasing girls, that was it.
That's kind of what happened to us. It's like we went through this stage where we had 200 people, 250 that were coming every show, and it was all the same families and same kids, but that's 7 years. A 7-year-old plus 7 years is 14 now.
Right.
He's playing baseball. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a job.
Yeah.
So now we need to find all those young kids, and we're starting to do that again because we've had a little bit of an outreach with families that have come to our show. We had this one family that came to our show, and they reached out to us on Facebook and said, "Hey, I know it's a long shot, but could a couple guys come to my son's birthday party just to say hello?" Yeah. And we sent 3 guys over.
Nice.
And he was like, I can't believe that, and now they're fans for life now.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah, they were front row at the Amesbury show. Bet they'll be front row in Amesbury. And I know they're coming on September 1st because we gave the 2 boys, the birthday boys, tickets to the show.
Oh, nice. No, that's awesome, taking care of, and that really is. It's like real quick off topic, but I don't know if you know Anthony Miller.
Yeah.
When his house burnt down, Chaotic did so much for him, because he was at the shows every month. Mm-hmm. Just incredible. It's a great thing that you guys did there. Who else was in your class?
There were quite a few guys that most of them don't wrestle now.
Okay.
But there was a lot of guys that would come in and train down at the Combat Zone. I mean, you had guys like Dylan Cage that would come down there. Fred Curry would come down there and train. Rush would come down there. There was just guys that were training at Chaotic that would also come down there, Slick Wagner around. But this is all when they were like, 14, 15 years old. I mean, Eddie Edwards was down there.
Yeah.
Tony, well, he's Tony Gangster, but he's Tony Delfonso.
Yes.
You know, I remember him from his Tony Gangster days
Yeah,
back down
me
then.
too.
But you know, him and Eddie Edwards were 15 years old, and they were tearing the house down. You know, nobody knew that, but
yeah,
yeah.
they were though.
But
there's no doubt. I mean, I remember the first time I
matches.
saw Eddie Edwards, I was blown away. I was like, you could tell he had something, even though he was pretty much brand new. You could just tell. Tell us about your first match.
My first match was actually against Rush. And
okay.
I had to wear a hood, and I was the Cuban assassin Jose. It did not go so well for me. I mean, the match went well. I mean, I just obviously, was my first match, so I was a little excited.
Yeah.
Everything went well in the match itself, but obviously I didn't come out on top. I'm a 120-pound kid going against Rush, who was,
Yeah, big dude.
big dude, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think they literally wiped me up off the canvas after the power bomb. So.
All right. We had talked off air real quick, and I said I'd ask you what other companies you work for. You said not too many.
No, not really.
Okay. Why don't we just last question here on the Get to Know You interview, and then we'll both get into everything else. What injuries have you sustained?
I've sustained 2 major injuries. One was I was working in Worcester at Jay Gillette's show. Forgive me, I don't remember the name of the company. It was kind of a one-off show that he was running that day. And oddly enough, I was on the poster twice. It said Joe Moakley, and then it said Joe Moakley again. I was like, cool, I get to do this twice. But I'm wrestling Hunter Ward on this show, and we had gone out there earlier in the night, and we were looking around at the ring, and the ring was a top rope ring, and it was a lot higher than our normal ring. So we're looking at it, and we're going, maybe we should kind of cut a couple of these spots out because, this is a lot higher than our normal ring. And we're like, you know what, it's a bump, the same bump we always take. Whatever, let's just roll with it. And we went through the whole match, and everything was going great. Everything was going smooth. And then I get the super kick in the face, and I take the tumble out of the ring, and I went over the top rope, came down, and snapped my leg.
Wow.
Tibia, fibia, and there, I'm putting the hands up like this. Referee, I don't think he knew what this meant. I don't know, because he's still counting 1, 2, 3. Like, he got all the way up to 9, and then called no contest. And I was like, all right, well, here we go. And then the guys brought me to the back, and I'm back there, and Luis Ortiz comes over, and he takes my pad off, and he takes my shoe off, and my foot just dropped like this. I thought originally that I just popped my ankle out because I couldn't tell while I'm out there at the ring. I mean, it hurt, but I just thought that I dislocated my ankle or something. So I didn't know what happened until he took all that off. My foot just dropped. You could kind of see the bone poking out. And Tony Atlas is sitting next to me, and he's like, you got to calm down, brother. You don't want a blood clot go to your head. Now that stuff will kill you. And I was,
I can hear him saying it.
I'm just sitting there being cool. The referee comes back. He's like, oh, thank you for the match. And Tony is doing his normal Tony thing. He's like, look at this guy. Oh, thank you for the match, sir. Get the heck out of here, It's like, but, so I went to the hospital in Worcester. Yeah. And, this is one time that my wife told me before I left, she goes, be careful. So, of course, this happens. So I'm in the hospital, and Hunter Ward and Big Woody call my wife, who's down in Newburyport at a birthday party. So she's driving up to Worcester pregnant. She's about 8 months pregnant, driving up to see me all busted up. Yeah. And so we got through all that fine. And then my first match back after I had done a few things in the ring because after I got the rod in my leg, so after a couple weeks I could put weight on it and walk around, and it was fine. So I mean, she told me not to get back into the ring, so I was just doing little managerial stuff outside, and I was kind of getting in there and hitting a couple guys, but I wasn't taking any big bumps until I got in the ring and tried to hit Brandon Webb with one of my crutches, and he spun around and caught me and gave me his little devil driver, and so that was kind of the start of that. That was like the last show of the year, so I was like, all right, I'll let him have this one big bump, and that way I'll hear about it at home. But the following year, we did a birthday party in January, and it was my one opportunity. I was like, you know what? I want to work Lewis during the show. Wow. So I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to get to work him on a normal show. He's the heavyweight champ. I'm probably not going to work the heavyweight champ on one of my shows. So I was like, I'll work Luis Ortiz. So I'm working him at a birthday party, and same thing. Yeah, he put me up for his Demon Driver, which is kind of the same move as the Devil Driver. It's the DVD, but the way he does it, he kind of runs with you, and dumps you. He doesn't toss you, and I didn't know that going into it, so I was kind of folded up like this. So when I came down, I hit my back, and I kind of knocked the wind out of me, and Mike Pave was in the ring after the match, and I was like, my back, and he thought I said and he's like, I don't know if I can help you with that, buddy. I was like, he's like, oh, you're back. So I get out, I got a big bruise on my back, and I go to the doctor the next day. I was like, and they gave me x-rays. Like, oh, it's probably just a bruise, you're fine. I hadn't even got home, I get a voicemail from my doctor, like, you need to come back. Turns out that I had a compression fracture on one of my vertebrae. I was like, oh, that's great. So that was the second time my wife told me to be careful. So I tell her now, don't tell me be careful. Yeah. Just
have fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Wow. That's some serious injuries, too.
Yeah.
All right, so now we'll get into, how did APW start? You just kind of said it a minute ago, right?
But yeah, it started kind of by accident. It actually started as a reincarnation of Wrestling Star Wars, because we were talking with Knuckles Nelson back in that point in 2011 when we were thinking about running those shows, and we're like, I don't know if we should name this or what. He's like, why don't you just call it Wrestling Star Wars? Everybody knows that name from back in the day. You might be able to get a couple of the old Wrestling Star Wars guys. And we did. We got Jay Gillette. We got Luis Ortiz on the first show. Taka Suzuki was on the first show. We had a couple of great guys in the first couple shows. So we went with Wrestling Star Wars for the first couple shows. And even the following year, we started off as Wrestling Star Wars again. And then we had a bit of a falling out with Knuckles, but, it happens.
Yeah.
It was time for us to change and come with our own name anyway. Get our own identity. Yep. And that's when we came up with Atlantic Pro Wrestling, and we've been going with that ever since.
It really is. That's awesome. Before we dig any deeper, I want to hear the story about the music, or the sound. What happened?
So it's my first show back, or first show period, backstage, and Joe has a title match against Hunter Ward.
Yeah.
And the plan is a hair versus hair match. So Hunter goes over via DQ, and they're shaving Hunter's head, and I'm supposed to hit Big Gun's music so the cavalry can come.
Right.
I'm supposed to get this signal from Matt Loudon, and I was about a minute late. Hunter's hair was almost gone. Adam, our ring announcer, had to come back and was like, "Hey, you're gonna hit the music," and I was like, "Oh, all right, yep, let's go." But I mean, that's my, I did better in Amesbury, and it's a work in progress. I'm still learning.
Right. Welcome to the business.
Yeah. But,
that's what you guys were probably saying.
Yeah, absolutely. But overall, I mean, it was a great experience to hear the crowd pop, like when Danny came in to cash in and win the title on that show. So
nice. That's awesome. How about your first event is the one that with the little kid said to you, right?
Yep. Well, it was actually the second event.
That was the second event. Yeah. Do you remember anything about your first event that, anything crazy? Like, obviously, it must have been a hard thing to do anyways. Putting on a show, I know for a fact, ain't easy. You know what I mean?
It's definitely not easy. I mean, it was it was exactly how you kind of expect it to be for your first show. Like, things don't look perfect.
Right.
It was a ring and some wrestlers, and there was a curtain. We had a little music area. We did record everything on camera and everything like that. But at that point, we didn't have a big production. It was just a one steady cam, that sort of thing. But all in all, it went very smoothly. Like, everything kind of went smoothly. Nice. Like, there wasn't many hiccups in the show itself. We've been pretty lucky where we don't have a whole lot of hiccups in our shows where things have gone terribly wrong that we can't fix. Good. Find some wood.
Unless someone's a minute late
knock on the wood right here. So that. All right, so I had talked to you guys off air about this, like bookers. How long do you keep a booker around? Like, does he do a half a year, 4 months? I mean, do you know, like, when you hire in the book that he's got an end date? Like, that's how they did it in the old days. I know that. In the 70s
I have never really given anybody that's done any booking. I've done a lot of the booking with everybody.
Yeah.
that's just kind of the way it is, just
Right.
because I have my hands in everything.
Yep.
But it was me and Woody when we first started, and we would go back and forth with all the ideas and
Right.
everything like that. And as it kind of expanded, like we brought in Ed Hunt, and it was the three of us kind of running ideas, because Ed was running the women's division,
Yep.
and Woody was running the men's division primarily, and the three of us would kind of get together and work out ideas. And Woody had just kind of gotten to a point in wrestling where it was just not fun in wrestling anymore. And he kind of wanted to step back, and he's always been welcome to come back, but I think he's enjoying not having all those phone calls at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and
Right.
wrestlers blowing up your phone and that sort of thing. And I think it was the same thing, because once Woody left, it was me and Ed that were running everything last year, and Ed's got a new job now, so he doesn't have the time to devote with everything,
Right.
And Ed's come back now. He's doing a managerial thing with Widow Belmont. So and it's running great. So, but yeah, I mean, it's there's never been anybody who's been kicked out that hasn't at least gotten a second chance.
Right.
And and very rare. It takes a lot for me to get upset with somebody to kick them out. you know.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good thing to know. Like how and it's your company. You should have your hand in it, no matter what. All right. What has been your favorite APW match? One that is like, if you were to say, Lee, you have to see this match.
Let's see. It's really kind of a toss-up, because I have really two of my favorite matches that I personally like to watch. Was the Luis Ortiz versus Tommaso Ciampa.
Yep.
Was fantastic, and a lot of it was I had goosebumps with Tommaso just in the curtain, because we used to do backstage stuff right before the match.
Okay.
We used to do interviews as they would come right before they come into the ring, and Tommaso was just back there. He wasn't even cutting a promo. He was just saying, just repeating the same saying over and over and over again. I was like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
And they went out there and they just tore it down. And Tommaso, I think, threw Demon through a table, and it was wild. And then the second one would be R.J. Brewer, John Walters, came in and worked for us for a little while, and the night that he took the belt off of Luis Ortiz, it was like the Undertaker losing. Like you looked in the crowd and people were like, "What just happened?" Like nobody expected it. And we have like still pictures of some of our fans that were like regulars. Were like, "You have to watch this person and this person, because I want their reaction once this goes down." And Josh, the kid who was doing camera, caught it perfectly. He's like zoomed right in on him, and you just got the Undertaker moment. It was great.
Seeing you brought up Tommaso, congratulations.
Yes.
The new
yes.
NXT
Absolutely.
heavyweight champion. Awesome. All right, same question. This time, your individual match.
Yeah, I've had a few, like, really, the match that I just had, the hair versus hair match, because of everything that went into the planning and the build-up and everything like that, it was such a fun match. And the whole thing that happened with Danny Miles at the very end, like, it just went over so smoothly and went over perfectly, except for Michael's music mishap. But other than that, it was great. And other than that, like, my street fights with Big Woody were just tremendous. And the build up for those, like, months and months and months of, like, me just breaking on him. I put on a fat suit, dressed as Big Woody. This is a great story. You'll love this one. Okay, so we had this big build up, and I've been calling him fat and calling him all these things for months and months and months. And then he used to do the Big Woody Body Slam Challenge.
Yes.
So I got this fat suit, and I got a no body slam T-shirt like he used to wear back in the day, and I had the bandana and sunglasses on, and his music hits, and out comes Bigger Woody, and I hit the curtain, and I'm out in the ring, and I'm like, you've seen the $5,000 Big Woody Body Slam Challenge, but you've never seen the $5 Big Woody Body Slam Challenge. And then I challenged his nephew, who used to ring our bell, Rick Mott, and he gets into the ring, and I'm doing the Big Woody thing where I'm time out, and I reach in to my shirt and I pull out an entire rotisserie chicken like you would get from Market Basket or one of those things. And I take a big bite out of it, and I'm like holding it out I'm like, Rick, you want some chicken? What do you want, a wing? A breast? You look like a breast man,
That's funny.
And Woody's back there, and he's just dying because nobody really knew that I was gonna pull out a whole chicken out of my fat suit. And he comes out, and he's trying not to laugh, and I'm holding my chicken out with him, and he's just trying not to laugh with me. So instead of him laughing, he charges at me and just hits me with some really nice forearms.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite APW match that you've watched and was like, wow, I got to see that again, even, you know?
Yeah, my history with APW is not as
Right.
in-depth. My favorite match to this point would be, I'd say, the triple threat match from May 26th, our first show of the year, with Buddy Romano, Dan Terry, and Vern Vicalo.
Nice.
By far,
Great
stole the show. Vern ended up winning the New England title.
Nice.
But from start to finish, all the guys in the back, because we have monitors set up,
Yeah.
they were glued to the monitors, and the crowd was into the match.
Nice.
So that would be my favorite match to this point, but I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot
Oh, yeah.
that are going to surpass that with the plans that Joe and I have. So.
Right. All right, so the next question is, about how many shows do you run a year? Are you going to be doing more shows now, you know what I mean? Or is it the same amount of shows you usually run?
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
We are probably going to run anywhere from 8 to 10 shows at our main venue, and then we have three or four festival shows that we run that are usually free shows. You know, for Amesbury, Newburyport, Haverhill, we do Kids Fest, we do Amesbury Days, and we do Newburyport Yankee Homecoming, and those are all free shows to the public. We're working on trying to get a couple more of those just to kind of fill out the calendar,
Right.
because we don't typically run in the summertime a lot,
Yeah.
just because people have vacation and everything else. So we like to try to do these festival shows because it helps get our name out there,
Yep.
keep us going,
Absolutely.
that sort of thing. But yeah, our main venue, the Newburyport Elks Lodge, loves us there, you know what I mean, and it's a great little spot. It reminds us of our original venue of the Newbury Fire Hall that we ran there for, you know, almost 7 years until they sold the building, and then
Is
we had
that
to
the
find
building
a new
I
one.
went to when I was there that day?
I think
It
you
was
went
right
to
around
the,
Halloween, right around Halloween.
I think no, you went to the Salisbury Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
that's what it was,
we went there for a year, but then the town, same kind of thing. They were selling that building to
Right.
a development, so they didn't want us wrestling in the building, so we had to find another venue. But we had run one show at the Newburyport Elks Lodge prior in that year.
Yep.
Our first show in September of 2017, we ran at the Newburyport Elks Lodge, and then we got notification that we could run in the Boys and Girls Club, and we ran there through the rest of the year. But then, you know, just out of circumstance, we couldn't run there anymore. So we asked the Newburyport Elks Lodge, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'd love to have you back." So
Nice.
now we're like, "All right, we're locked in." So
That's awesome. All right, next question is, do you have a favorite angle that you guys ran in APW? Something that, you know.
we've run. That's the thing with us. We run a lot of angles.
Do you?
Because from my acting background, like I
Yeah.
love storylines, and we've
Right.
run so much different stuff. Like we had the whole Three Kings angle with
Yep.
with Demon and Sopel and
Yep.
and Brian Malonis, and
Right.
they ran wild over APW for quite some time. I mean, I had the glamorous ones. We had the glamorous ones going for a good 5 years, like we were
wow.
together, which is kind of unheard of for like a group
Yeah.
to stay together that long. And that was like, you know, me, Danny Miles, Mike Pava, Buddy Romano, and that was great. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I had kind of turned on them in my evil stage and joined Brandon Webb and a couple other guys, and we had the organization. And,
Okay.
And you know, we had done some just evil stuff. We had filmed a break-in of Demon Ortiz's house, and we had his little daughter sleeping in her room, and she had the picture of Demon Ortiz by her bedside, and Brandon Webb's whispering in her ear and telling her your dad's not going to love you anymore, and all this stuff. And you know, then he picks up the picture and he puts a big black cross upside down on the picture and puts it right next to her bedside. And like, you know, and that was wild, you know, because we were trying to get Demon to chase after us for a little bit. So, you know, and it worked. Because he didn't like that one too much. But yeah, we've done some crazy angles. And we had that hair versus hair match that we had been planning out for a whole year. You know, and just the whole thing with the new, we have a battle royal that we run. It's the Gil Bonk Memorial Battle Royal now because he passed away.
Right.
But we run that every single year now, and originally it used to be used to win a trophy, and now we've added on a little stipulation where the winner of that gets an open cash and carry contract.
Right.
So now it adds a little something through the whole
Yes.
year that now that could be any time that somebody
Yep.
can come in and try to cash that thing in. So, and that seems to have worked. Like I said, it just adds more layers, more levels
Right.
to things you can do.
That's awesome. How about the least favorite angle? Like something that you said, we probably shouldn't have done that.
There's probably a lot that we probably should have done.
Right. We can leave it at that if you'd rather not. Trust me.
No, I can't think of one off the top of my head that I really just have complete distaste for. I mean, some of them didn't go as well as you would think, but overall, it's more that we didn't get the reaction that we anticipated, more so that we didn't like the angle itself.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about your training facilities, the Wrestling Academy Revival?
Yeah, Wrestling Academy of Revival. It's located on 6 Merrill Street, behind Cinemagic. We have three. Well, we have 3 trainers. We have head trainer Louis Demon Ortiz. Mike King is a stiff Mike. Apocalypse is the second trainer, and we've just added Setharin Amato Figueroa.
Nice.
So we're gonna be open 5 days 4 to 5 days, depending on if we have shows or not.
Right.
But we'll be open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 5:30 to 9. We have monthly memberships, we have weekly, and then drop-in rates. So it's a work in progress. We're starting to grow. We're starting to get more people in the door that want to be part of the business. Right. So Joe and I have put our brains together and are trying to come up with ways to make it more appealing for people to come in. And we know that we have competition in the area. It's tough, but we're on the right track. We're promoting it. We're going to be launching our website's being redesigned right now, and there'll be an entire page devoted to the school. So
nice.
And obviously we just got the logo redone, which is out now. But that's pretty much it. And we have a couple of students that have been there since the beginning. Jake Sargent, who is son of Gun. And then a gentleman by the name of Nick, who's been there since the start, and they've actually started having their first matches with APW, and Jake's been able to get out and work other places now too. So
that's great. 3 great guys training too. I mean, seriously. Stiff Mike's been a guest here a couple times. He's coming on again. Louis Ortiz actually was a guest too. I almost forgot about that. And who the last
Setharin Amato
Setharin's
Figueroa.
been on twice too.
Yeah.
All right, listen, let's jump into the fan questions. If we don't get a chance to play the name game, that just happens. So if anybody's disappointed, I'm sorry. First question is from my friend Nathan Fuller. He wants to know, Joe, Leo, and Mike, do you think the Young Bucks will ever be in NXT?
I think maybe. Yeah, it's. I think they're having a lot of fun doing what they're doing, and I think they're making a whole lot of money doing what they're doing. That the move to WWE might be later in their careers, where they're like, let's do it just to do it, just to say that we've been there and done it.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same mindset. I think if I were to compare them to somebody who came into WWE or NXT later, it would probably be like a Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Made a name for himself in TNA and the independents, and now later in his career he's moved in. I think that's going to be the kind of scenario you're going to see with the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
They'll make the money that they're making on the independent scene and through Ring of Honor, do the things they do, because in a way, and this isn't a bad thing, but sometimes when you come into the WWE, you kind of get stifled on the stuff that you were doing before, because they have plans. So that's why I see them agreeing with Joe later in their careers.
I agree too, because they're making so much money now. I mean, really,
I think they'll be more like, they'll be like Tommaso, and they'll be like Hanson. You know what I mean? It's guys who go out there and they're killing it on the independendents, and they're killing it in Japan, and they're killing it in Ring of Honor, and all of a sudden, WWE says, we should probably get these guys in here. Ricochet's the same way.
Yeah. Incredible wrestler too.
They see all these great people doing great things. They're gonna bring you in. You know what I mean? At least to bring you in to see.
Yep. Absolutely. Next question is from one of the APW's biggest fans, Anthony Mark Balkas. Joe, what made you want to be a heel? Was it something in particular?
I just like being a bad guy.
Yeah.
I've tried being a good guy, and it just doesn't fit. Like, the fans do not like to cheer for me. They do not. My daughter, her little brother and sister go to this daycare center, and these 2 kids, the same 2 kids from the birthday party, go to the same daycare center. So my ex was there, and she's like, I just got talking to the mother of these two little boys here, and she said that I have to take, Levi, which is her son, to this wrestling event in Amesbury. And she's like, they kind of want to say something to you, and she holds the phone out, and they're like, "We hate your guts," da 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 da. And I'm just laughing on the other line, But yeah, it's I like being a heel too, because it lets me put other people over. I want to put other guys over.
Yep.
And when I hear them boo me and then finally cheer for the babyface, I'm like, cool. I just did my job well, because they're cheering for that guy. And that's what I like to hear. I like to hear them cheer for somebody else. If they're not cheering for somebody else, I'm like, what do I have to do now?
Right.
Do I have to go break into another kid's bedroom or what?
Right. He has a second question. How far do you think the Patriots will go this year? And do you think Tom Brady thinks he's better than his team? This offseason, he did stuff like he never used to do, which I would imagine not showing up early for camp. Because, that's pretty much the only thing I think he didn't do.
Yeah. I think he's just gotten older, and his interests are different.
Yep.
And you get older, you don't want to put all that strain on your body.
Right.
Like, he's gone through many camps and many camps and many camps. They're the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And it's old hat to him. He had 4 games off last year and came, you know what I mean?
Nothing.
It was,
Right.
Same thing with Edelman. Edelman's got 4 games off. It's gonna be a blessing in disguise.
Right.
And it's the same thing. It's these guys. He's been in it for 20 years.
Yeah.
His body can only take so much, and now he's got other interests that he's trying to get going after his career is ended, and he's smart. He's being smart about it. I think it's blown way out of proportion in the media.
I do too.
I think there's nothing going on. I think all the stuff that's happening, Bill and him are laughing about it behind closed doors. So.
What do you think?
I think the same thing. If my wife was Giselle, I'd be on the beach too. So.
Yeah.
He's not too much younger than I am. I think it's all blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go probably 13-2 in the regular season and another Super Bowl appearance.
Nice.
That's my pick.
Nice. Jake Alette wants to know, what made you want to open a wrestling school, guys?
Just so I can kick him in the face. That's our main guy there,
okay.
Jake. He's our student. He's been around since the very beginning. He was basically trained by Stiff Mike in the very beginning before we brought Lewis in, and now he's been working with Lewis and Stiff Mike pretty exclusively, and he's come a long way since the beginning. He was very, very timid in the beginning, and now he's definitely opened up and kind of getting a feel for himself, which is nice.
Awesome. Bugsy Stone wants to know.
Of course.
What made you want... No, I'm sorry. Why are you avoiding me? Are you afraid of Bugsy Stone?
Everybody should be afraid of Bugsy Stone.
I know I would.
Have you seen that bat that he carries around?
Yeah.
Little Miss Wendy is not somebody you want to mess with.
Is that what he called?
That's okay. Yep. There, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Bugsy's an intimidating guy.
Yeah, he is.
I would not.
Big dude, man.
Bad or no bad, I don't think I'd want to be on Bugsy's bad side.
Me either. I want to be behind him, helping him.
But for as bad as Bugsy Stone is, Bugsy Stone's a part of the APW family. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Fans love him, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
He won one of the battle royals in Amesbury, went on to win the inaugural Powwow River Cup.
Nice. Yes, I saw that. Yep.
And the kids, him and Matt Loudon were in the main event, and they went out into the crowd, and the kids are following him around like a train. And when he got the win, it was perfect for him.
Nice.
His town, his people, they love him. That's for damn sure.
Yep. All right. Dan Bullia wants to know, who are some of the biggest names you've had a match with?
I haven't had a match with any real big names. Hall of Famer Luis Ortiz is probably my biggest match that I've had with somebody. But I've worked with a lot of guys that have been in my company. I've been in locker rooms with Tony Atlas. Right. But going back to Wrestling Star Wars days, like we used to bring in, Tito Santana, Brutus Beefcake, Tony Atlas. There was guys that Knuckles would bring in because he knew them from his times working. So I've met a lot of these guys. I used to see Matt Bloom all the time because I used to work at Blockbuster right in Seabrook, New Hampshire, and he used to come in and rent videos. Him and Brian Day, and every time Brian Day would walk in, I'd be like, give him one of these.
Yeah.
But we've had the pleasure of working with a lot of guys that before they actually made their name. Like we gave Donovan Jijak his first match.
Oh
ever.
wow!
His first wrestling match was for APW.
Nice.
He was a bartender on one of our skits previously.
With the we talked about that on here. Yeah.
With Big Woody.
Yes.
And then we made him a Yugoslavian nobleman, and he. Man, I love that. I love Dijak. He was fantastic. He embraced that gimmick like no other, and I was like, man, that kid's gonna go places. And like I said, we had Tommaso Ciampa in, we've had Hansen in, so it's great that we've had all these guys that are now in NXT and have made names for themselves.
Right.
And have had some sort of link or lineage to APW in their career, which is a great thing to say.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
I mean, and you can even add Brian Malonis to that list, who's tagging with the Beer City Bruiser and Ring of Honor. So
absolutely,
I mean, some guys that have come through APW that have made it onto every kid who wants to be a wrestler's dream.
Oh yeah.
To be on TV, pay-per-views for two of the biggest companies in the world.
That's a pretty good gimmick too they got going over there in Ring of Honor.
They do.
Dan's got another question, real quick. Thoughts on Velveteen Dream?
I love it. I don't get to watch a whole lot of wrestling. I mean, these days, just because I work 3 jobs, so I'm I'm all over the place. But I see little clips here and there through social medias and stuff like that. And that whole spot that Ricochet jumped over the ropes and just the look on Velveteen Dream's face was priceless. And I was like, that's just not something you can teach. Right. That's just something you've got in you. Yep. And I was like, I like that kid. You know what I mean? It's like
Me too.
I think he's gonna go places.
Dude, he's only 21 years old. Too.
Yeah.
21. But Shane, what do you think about Velveteen?
Honestly, I don't get to watch NXT, so it's the same kind of thing with Joe.
Right.
But from what I've seen in clips, my wife only allows me 2 nights a week. That's Monday and Tuesday from Raw and SmackDown. So I agree. I think that his character and his growth, like you said, he's 21 years old. He's got the whole world in front of him still.
Absolutely. The matches he's gonna continue to have with Ricochet or Leo Rush, who he's wrestled like 100 times already because they came from the same promotion.
Yep.
All right, so Nathan Fuller wants to know, he says, Leo, but we can all answer this. Who do you think the next NXT star will be on Raw after SummerSlam? Do you think they're going to make any call-ups? I say Ricochet.
I think it's going to be Aleister Black.
Yeah, that's a good, probably going to be right more than me.
The only reason I think that is because typically after someone drops the NXT title, it's not long before they make it to the main roster.
Right.
And with the speculation that the Undertaker's on his farewell tour because they've announced MSG was his last match.
Right.
At MSG, his match in Australia versus Triple H is the last time you're ever going to see Triple H versus the Undertaker. I think that they're going to bring him in to kind of be that replacement because, no disrespect to Bray Wyatt, I think they failed in trying to make Bray Wyatt that character.
Yeah, they definitely
But I think
did
with Aleister, they can fill that spot.
Nice. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the same thing. But it's not typically that you have somebody. I mean, Tommaso I think is on his way there along with Johnny. I think they will eventually get there.
Me too.
But it's probably a year away.
Right.
And it'll be the same thing. He'll probably lose the belt to somebody, and then they'll be on their way. And I think Hanson and Rowe are going to be up in the tag team division shortly as well. They've been phenomenal. For what they do.
Incredible tag team. All right, last question from Jesse Martineau. Wants to know is what is something that you knew now, right, that you wish you knew at the start of your career?
Not so much something that I didn't know back then, but something I didn't listen to is that everybody's body has a bump card.
Yeah.
And after several of those, you start to realize it. And I've talked to guys like Johnny Vegas, and and I've watched these guys like Johnny Vegas work, and I'm like, he goes out there and he works a whole match, and he takes one big bump, and that's it. And I was like, that's what I should do. Yeah. And your young guys don't understand that, and you think you got to go out there and you got to just flash, and then you wind up doing something stupid like I did, breaking my leg. And I'm not the first guy to break my leg, and I'm not the first. There's been 2 or 3 guys recently that have done it. I mean, Tiki O'Ryan broke his leg, and then DL Hurst.
Well, Hurst, DL.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's wrestled for you, correct?
Yes.
DL? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's a
Great young talent.
Great young talent. He's another up and comer. You know, we've got a lot of really young guys that are really hungry, and it's going to be really exciting to watch us. Like we had DL Hurst. You know, I welcome him back as soon as he's ready. You know what I mean? And, you know, but guys like Robo, we have Robo in quite a bit. He's fantastic. Nico Silva is another great talent. It's another guy, Travis Gillette, Jay Gillette's son.
Yes.
He's wrestling now. Phenomenal.
Really?
And
nice.
A lot of these guys that we're bringing in, Bolt Brady we brought in as well. He's really good. And we bring these guys in, and the thing that you notice about them too is like we have Luis Ortiz backstage, and he watches every single match so he can critique guys when they come back. Good. And there's some guys you watch and he's talking to them and he's telling them what they can fix, what they can do better. And some guys, you know, kind of half watch him. Guys like Travis Gillette and who was it? Bolt as well. Eyes are just locked on Lewis.
Nice.
And they're listening and they're listening and they're listening and thank you sir. And and then you see them the next time they're out there and they listened because they're putting all that stuff they just listened and learned back into their match. So it's really a great time to be watching independent wrestling in New England because there's a lot of good talent. And you know, and the Lockup Pro Wrestling Academy down there, run by H2O Waters. We use a lot of their guys, and they're trained really, really well down there. Right. You know, and that's one of the things that we want to do with our guys too. We want to make sure that they're not just pushed through the door and into a ring. We want to make sure that they're ready. So when they go out and somebody says, "Oh, who trained you?" They can say, "Oh, I was trained at War by Luis Ortiz," and they go, "Oh." Yeah, we can see that.
We can tell, exactly. That's awesome.
And that's just to kind of add to Joe going to our school. That's why we've kind of paired Jake Sargent or Jake, or one of our students, with Big Gun, and Cody Ward as part. Now they've come together as American Made.
Oh, nice.
So we've got Jake, who learns from Lewis, who's now got these two veterans. You know, Cody's 8 or 10 year veteran, and Gun's been in the business for 20 plus years. So it's things like that we're doing to help their progression too. They're ready for matches, but at least putting them with veterans that can help them.
I have to laugh at the Cody Ward veteran line, but that's all right.
All right, listen, we got a little less than 12 minutes. We'll try to play the name game here, you know. My old co-host, Derek Dukes.
I always liked Derek. We brought him into APW a couple times. He used to call us and then used to want to get on the shows, but it's like anything else when you run a wrestling company. You get 10, 20 emails a week of people that want to be on the shows. And we had a certain amount of guys that we were using pretty much every month, and it was just tough getting people in. But when we were able to get them in, we got them in a couple of times. I think we got them in at the Newburyport Yankee Homecoming show and maybe another show on one of those type of deals. But yeah, no, I've always liked Derek. You know, he's always been nice to me. So,
love you, Derek. You know Derek at all?
I don't know Derek, no.
So we'll have to introduce you sometime.
Absolutely.
All right, we already talked a little bit about Luis Ortiz. How about Buddy Romano?
Buddy Romano.
Bitter Buddy.
Beautiful Buddy. I love Buddy. Well, he's bitter now, but yeah, he's a little bitter. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Buddy. You know, he went through a little bit of time where he was really bitter in life, and it showed, and it was tough to work with him. So we kind of had a little bit of a distance between us. But you know, he's always been fantastic in our locker room. Always been a professional when he's been in our building. And you know, when he contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm ready to come back," I said, "Sure, let's come back in." And we brought him back in, and I brought him back into the Joe Moakley fold. He's one of my crewmates again. Nice. He was one of my glamorous ones, and now he's part of Venom. So
awesome. How about Todd Sopel?
Todd Sopel, I don't really have anything really bad to say about Todd Sopel. We'd been together for a while in wrestling. And it's like a lot of relationships. After a while, you kind of grow apart in ideas and feelings and that sort of thing. And we've recently kind of gone our separate ways. But you know, I wish him all the best with his Liberty State stuff and everything like that. You know, I wish no ill on anybody really. Right. So
he's talented. There's no doubt he's very talented in that ring.
He helped us in the very beginning of APW to get us off the ground. And it was running really, really well. And you know, like I said, but he'd been with us for 8 years. And I think it had just come time where you know it was. You know,
a break.
We needed a break.
Like you said, though, you have he could always come back down the line.
Yeah. I never say never. You know.
I definitely want to ask you about these guys, okay? The Mainstay Posse. Because I've been watching them just recently. I haven't seen a lot of them. They're incredible. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the Mainstay Posse, there, you know, I first saw them at an APW show.
Yeah.
And they were the APW Tag Team Champions. They just recently lost it to the Anti-Americans in May. But for me, they're innovative. They're on the same page, and it's interchangeable parts because they have the 3 members. So it could be Alexander Lee, it could be Aggro, it could be Danger Kid, and you know they're making their way. They're making their way. You know, who said we don't know if they're going to make it? Nobody knows. Right. But they're doing all the right things. They're saying, you know, they're professional. You know, they're open to critique. They asked, like after their match, they asked if everything was all right. Right. You know, because we had a certain spot in there, and it all went, you know, the way we wanted it to. So, you know, we'll have them back because obviously they have a mandatory title rematch against the Anti-Americans. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they have great futures if it's 100% what they want to do as a team.
Right. Oh, I agree too, and I really do. I think they're very talented. That's why, like I said, I really wanted to ask. How about the Atlantic Pro Women's Champion, Adira?
I love her. She is fantastic.
She looks like a badass, too.
She is.
Seriously.
She is. She's a total badass, but no, she's a total sweetheart. But like in the ring, man, you don't want to get in her way.
Right.
But yeah, I adore her. She's like actually all of our women. Like we bring in a lot of like we've got Kathy. Yeah. You know, she's pretty much a staple with us. So we've got Vanity Vixen. She's pretty much a staple with us, and Adira has been with us. The 3 of them have been with us like the longest, and Davienne has been with us, you know, from the beginning as well. Those 4 have been with us pretty much since we started the women's division way back when. Well, not Adira, because she's only been with us for about a year or so now. Okay. But the 3 previous have been with us for quite some time. Yeah, but they're all family. You know what I mean? And it's great watching them work.
Definitely. We brought up Vern earlier, and how about why don't we talk about Apocalypse?
Meh. I'm just kidding. Well, Apocalypse is now retired.
Yeah,
thank
I wanted to bring him up, give him a little, give him a little press there.
Unfortunately, we still have to retire Stiff Mike, but we'll get around to that. No,
I didn't say nothing, Mike.
Mike's great. You know, like I said, had it not been for him, the training school probably would have closed. Right. You know, because for a while there, we were supposed to have somebody else training, and it didn't really pan out the way we anticipated. Yeah. So we had Jake who would come in, and he paid his money to train, and like I got down there as often as I could to kind of work with him and just kind of try to help him along with just the basics. You know what I mean? I'm not one who's going to go in there and show him the stuff that Luis Ortiz can show somebody. You know what I mean? But I can show you how to fall on your back or do a couple moves, but that's pretty much it. Mike stepped up and he's like, hey, can I come in and work with these guys? So I was like, please come in and work with them. And had he not come in, Jake may have gone and off to a different school, because there was nobody there to help move him along. So I thank him every day, every time I get an opportunity for that. Right. Because if not for him, that school would no longer be there.
Yeah, for me, Mike is. When I first came in and partnered with Joe, Mike has told me, I was skeptical of you. I didn't know if you were trying to come in and take everything over. He's a straight shooter, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And, we just recently had a conversation, and he told me that, I won him over because I wasn't trying to be pushy. I wasn't trying to, take over the entire company. I was coming in to help Joe advance APW, and that's where we're going with it. So I would say, other than Joe, the closest person I have within APW would be Mike. And he's told me some stuff, to look out for, and he's been in my ear, and I appreciate Mike and all he does for APW and the school. So I don't think we could ask for a better one of our assistant trainers than Mike King.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. He really is. How about Brad Hollister?
Brad, we had him back in. We had him in when we were running an angle where I was trying to take over APW as part of VCW. So I brought in a bunch of VCW guys at that point in time. So I brought in, Tony, Jason Rumble, and I brought in Bo Douglas and Mike McCarthy, and Brad Hollister was working for them quite a bit down there. So I brought him in as part of the team. Cameron Replay, he's the Sheik now, but I brought all those guys in as VCW guys, trying to take over APW, because we were doing an APW VCW angle, and it went really well. And but when he came in, it was unfortunate because he actually had hurt his shoulder right before like the weekend before, so
Right.
he wasn't able to do as much as he wanted to do. And we haven't had an opportunity to bring him back, but we've been in discussions with him and Hammer Tunis about trying to bring both of them in because they're both tremendous talents. I've been down there to watch them down at PvP, and you know, they run a similar type of show that like we run. You know what I mean? Like when I went down there, I was kind of blown away by what they did. You know, they filled their houses down there, and it was all people that were just going crazy for the product they were putting out. And they put out a great product. So.
The hell of a tag team, they really are. How about Nick Westgate?
Nick Westgate, I know a little bit. Like we brought him in back in our early stage. He was doing a lot of stuff for Liberty States for Todd Sopel, and we were using a lot of the same guys at the same time. And we brought him in. He did really well. I think the only match we brought him in for, he worked. I think he worked Johnny Vegas. It was a pretty good match, you know, between the two of them. But I mean, it's Vegas. He puts on a great show.
Right. How about Mark Sherman, guy that was supposed to come in here next week, but
I don't have my pencil with me, so I don't know if I can write his name down. But no, Mark was great. It's a funny story with Mark Sherman. We were trying to find people to work Luis Ortiz, because he was the heavyweight champ, and we were just bringing in a succession of like good workers to work him. And you know, we'd seen him. You know, we had Mark in on a show, and we said, "Hey, we got to pull you aside." And he thought we were going to yell at him. And we're like, so we're in the room, and he looked a little nervous. We're like, "Hey, we want you to work Luis next month." And he's like, "Really? You want me to do that?" And he was kind of like, you know, blown away for a period of time. You know, he didn't cry like Mark Moment did when we told him, but you know, sorry, Mark. but yeah, no, that was funny. Yeah, it was. He was just kind of blown away that we were given that opportunity to work somebody like Luis. You know, Luis was a dream for a lot of guys to work. Like a lot of guys.
I imagine so.
You know, we'd call him up. We'd say, hey, we have a spot we're trying to fill, and they're like, oh, yeah, I might be interested. What is it? Like, oh, well, we need somebody to come in. And we need somebody to work Demon Ortiz. They're like, oh, you want somebody to work Luis? I was like, oh yeah, no, I'll be there. You know, that's how we got Tomash though. Like he was dying to work Luis. And, you know, we get John Walters because him and Luis are like best friends. So you know, he was like, yeah, I would love to come in and work Luis. You know.
Nice. How about our cousin Larry?
Cousin Larry, he's been around since the beginning. You know, we had him teamed with Lumberjake for a long period of time, and you know, Country Fried, they were great tag team champs. They had a lot of battles with the Knucklebusters.
Oh, nice.
You know, they had a lot of battles. They had a couple dog collar matches, and a few street fights. But yeah, no, he's always been really good. You know.
I'm surprised I haven't brought his name up, and this was the first time when you said the Knucklebusters. Bare Knuckle Burley.
Bare Knuckle Burley. Yeah, he's a tough one, man. I'll tell you. You know, I've been in there a few times. One reason I really like Burley is that he's not afraid to hit you.
Right.
And that's the one thing I didn't like a lot of times when I got in the ring. Some guys were afraid to hit me, and I always was like, you know what? I can't sell something if you're gonna whiff me on it, man. Like if you're gonna punch me, like hit me. Like I can sell that good, but if you're not gonna hit me, like I don't know how I'm supposed to drop on that. But you know, Burley hit me pretty good. So
guys, promote your next show.
Next show that we have is a free show. It's July 29th. It's part of Newburyport Yankee Homecoming. It's right down at the Bartlett Mile in Newburyport. It starts at 11 a.m. And then our next big show is September 1st at the Newburyport Elks Lodge in Newburyport. So.
Sunday the 29th actually starts at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Sorry.
10 a.m. And our main event is Ring of Honor superstar Brian Malonis versus our current heavyweight champion and Danny Miles.
Nice. Wow, that's going to be a hell of a match. Guys, I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
I'll definitely have you guys on again. But like I said, it won't be till 2019. We're out. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.